Super on race 6. Scratch the 1 Beyond Infinity. Scratch the 4 Just Hangin' Ridge. And scratch the 8 Storm and Hank. These are Texas-bred maidens.
Yeah, so I got 2 Will the Thrill on top here. Last time out, I think you and Rick were doing the show. I think y'all both were talking about Will the Thrill.
Yeah, we didn't pick him, I don't believe.
Well, that's good because he ran second that day, right?
I didn't pick him at least, but yeah, we were talking about Will Clark, the ex-baseball player.
That's why I like Will the Thrill, man. He was one of my favorite Rangers back in the day. But this horse has had 3 starts, 2 of them at Canterbury, so the debut out there in the maiden special weight ran a solid second in that one. They must have been thinking highly of this horse. They threw him right back into a stakes race after that. Didn't do too hot in that race, but took some time off between September and then the end of May this year. Came out here to Lone Star Park, ran in a state-bred race out here, finished second in that one by a length in 3/4. Looked pretty good doing it in defeat, I thought. So I made a note last time to watch Will the Thrill next time he gets out, and I'm going to pick the horse, so here he is. Second choice is number 7 in Gold Capo. This horse has been off since July of last year, but that was a fairly decent race, finishing third in that one out of a field of 12. So this is going to be the first time that this horse has stepped back on the track for a race in a little while. But, this horse has been on the track working a little bit. I mean, there was a blazing 3 furlong work where the horse finished second of 17 on the morning in those 3 furlongs. But I'll take the 7. And then the 5 is going to be my third choice, Unbridled George. First-time starter here. I'll roll the dice and see what happens with this one.
Beyond Will the Thrill, especially now that Beyond Infinity is out, who I thought, was at least an intriguing firster, and even Storm and Hank, who at least was 4-1 in his last race and finished within 5 lengths of the top. I mean, Will the Thrill really has this field over a barrel if he performs. He's still got to go out and perform. He was bet down a lot. He was 5-1 on the line last time, and then he went off at even money. I didn't quite get that. And he chased, I believe Reynardini was a wire-to-wire winner that day, and he just chased him around there. So, and he's going to get a better trip. He was 5 wide last time, so I'm taking him. I mean, there's nobody else literally I could take in here, but He Dares the Devil, like Gold Capo coming off the bench. He Dares the Devil at least is facing an easier bunch than he had to have been facing before. If you go back to last summer here, he faced Tengo Mis Papeles, who I would love to see run again. I mean, he was the sensation of last year's meet. And even Royal Tap, who was up and down, to say the least. He ran second to him last year. So that's I'll tell you what, if Will the Thrill doesn't win that one, the 6-shooter might very well carry. Now, here's a race that This 2-year-old race in race 7, maiden special weights, 5/8, scratch the 1 Captain Dozier and the 2 Wings of Gold. This was a tough one for me. Sometimes I don't put a whole lot of faith in some of these Louisiana Downs races to my detriment, so I used Serrano's Warrior third. The problem for me was who do I go with between the 8 and the 9, but I see you didn't use either one of them.
No, I got the 9 in third.
Top.
Yeah, I took the 5 on top here. This horse, Bratton, I always like horses that Austin Gustafson sends out, first-timers, 2-year-olds especially. I mean, last night he had a horse that ran second to an Asmussen horse, which I picked that race. I've got the exacta right in that one. It was pretty decent. $22 exacta, I think.
See, that was a rare example of a race where I watched the Asmussen horse at Churchill on the turf, which, by the way, they don't really like the way their new turf course is developing, so they're going to minimize the use of it. But I watched that race last night with that Asmussen Realitos. If you watch the race, I don't think you could have picked him because he could not have run much worse. Comes out here, shows speed he didn't show the other day, surface switch, and he blitzed the field, including the Gustafson, who I kind of liked. I didn't love him, but I picked him on top. So, yeah, it's the less said about that, the better. I just said more about it than I wanted to.
Well, I'll take the Gustafson horse here. I mean, he had 2 originally in this horse. The 2 Wings of Gold scratched out of it. I don't know what the situation is, why the horse scratched, but
maybe that 54-4 worked.
Could be.
I mean, that's Arabian time. I mean, I'm surprised that even counts as a work. I hope it was a gallop where they were not a gallop, but I hope they were really under wraps. I assume Wings of Gold and Bratton worked together. I don't know how you hit 54-4 working on the same day for the same trainer without working in tandem. But yeah, I kid.
But yeah, so I don't know why the horse scratched, but superstition, like you were talking earlier about some superstition stuff. Me, this is one that I see. The trainer has two horses in the same race. One of them scratches. You know what? That makes me like the other one even better.
Exactly. Frequently, that is the case.
Even though I don't know why. I mean, Wings of Gold could have just woke up on the wrong side of the bed today and kick somebody and say, you know what, I'm not running tonight. But I'll take Bratton as my top selection. The 7, Serrano's Warrior, is going to be my second choice. I love those horses, race 1 to race 2. I know you were talking about that race at Louisiana Downs. It came on a sloppy track as well. Calvin Borel on the horse.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was one of his comebacks at Louisiana Downs this year. Yeah, he started riding there again, as you can see here. But I'll take Serrano's Warrior for the second start here to get up and hit the board. And then I took the number 9, Todd Chero, as my third selection here. Some decent workouts for this horse. Posted a bullet back on the 22nd of May. Followed that back up with a pretty nice 4 furlong work on the 3rd of June. So horse is probably ready to go. I'll go ahead and take this horse. Just wish it wasn't coming out of the 9 hole, but it is what it is. They draw it at random. So.
I think he'll be all right out there. You know, I took 3 on the tree, the 8 horse here. This horse from the first crop of Accelerate, who was a champion just 4 years ago. Was first foal out of the Dam Fantasy of Luck, but Accelerate was a tremendous older dirt horse back, just a few years ago. And I don't know if that'll have anything to do with this, but this 3 on the tree was in the Texas Thoroughbred Association sale last year and was an RNA, so didn't get the price that they wanted, pulled him out of the sale. Not sure how he ended up with the current connections, but some of his works are okay. Pish popped with a firster with Alfredo Contreras the other day. So I'm going to take him over Todd Chero. I think Todd Chero might end up winning the race, but we'll see. 8th race. Boy, there's not much pace in this race, and that was with Smart Battle in it. Smart Battle's out. That was going to be my wire-to-wire pick, but now he's out. These are maiden 15,000s going a mile. Also scratched the 5, raised the purses. This one's super wide open, I think. I'm taking kind of a long shot in here.
Well, I'm not taking much of a long shot. I'm on board the number 2 horse. Last time out, this race looked a lot worse than it was. Finished second, was beaten by 20 1/4 lengths. Wildwood Z, that was a Broberg horse that weekend, that one that just went out there and destroyed him, right? But still, after getting beat by 20 1/4, was still a length and a half in front of the third place finisher, who was
think about the ones that finished behind him.
Especially, if you're 4th in that race, there was only 5 horses in there, but 4th and 5th, they were way out of it. But the race before that, this horse was claimed at the $15,000 tag. That ran a solid 3rd that day, missed by a neck, was on the turf at 7.5. So, we're just going a mile today, back on the turf. Talked a little bit about Ronnie Cravens earlier. He's had a pretty nice meet so far this year. I'll go ahead and take Blurt as my top choice. Second one is going to be number 10, Eyes on Deck. This is a horse that I picked last time out. Ended up running 4th on me. Just never really got into the race. The interesting thing about this was I was talking about Blurt getting blown out by Wildwood Z last time. Well, if you look at the last time that Eyes on Deck ran, Wildwood Z ran 3rd in that race. So, I don't know. It's a horse race. That's
I think
why
the field was a little tougher.
It must have been.
The field was a little tougher on May 19th than it was on May 28th.
It must have been. If Wildwood Z came back and had that performance.
They were both maiden special weights, but, there's maiden special weights, and then there's maiden special weights.
So, anyway, the number 9, Benissimo, is going to be my third selection here. I always talk about those horses coming from Phoenix at Turf Paradise and how I don't like them, but I've kind of changed my tune. Yeah. We saw another one run last night fairly well. I'll go ahead and take a shot on this one to hit the board. Those last few races at Turf Paradise, 2 of the 3 weren't bad. Had a decent one at Sunland before that. This horse finished 3rd in a stakes race at Sunland back in January. Hasn't had a win at this 1 mile distance, but has a second and a couple thirds to show for it. So I'll take Benissimo as my third choice here in the nightcap.
I originally had Benissimo second behind Smart Battle, who I thought was a cinch to set the early pace. Now Blurt might end up on the lead. But I went ahead and took Benissimo. I'll tell you, that 54-4 June 5th work really scares me, but I knew it was in the form when I handicapped. That work, by the way, isn't in the program because the program was printed before June 5th, but it was in the form, and I knew about that, and I still picked him second. Now I scratch into him. You know, if you go all the way back to the beginning with this guy, he started at Fairgrounds, 30-1, turf race at a mile, unprepared for the start, doesn't really run a step. Then they put him in the Riley Allison Derby on the dirt at Sunland. He runs a respectable third. Then they put him in the Mind That Bird Derby, drawers blown off at 40-1. Then he runs a decent maiden race, goes to the turf, runs okay in Phoenix, then runs second at 7-10. That scares me a little bit because he was expected to win and was blown out by 9 3/4. And then he has that Turf Paradise Sprint. Didn't run much. Been training halfway decent except for that really slow breeze the other day. I'm going to guess maybe the change of scenery might help. I'm going to take him. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for it, but I'm going to give a shot. Mannerborn on the outside has the interesting designation of having run fifth all 4 of his times to the track. That's hard to do, but, you know, he's been keeping decent company, and he's been working really well. So I like him for second and Blurt third. So there you go. I don't think I've ever had a night where I offered so many potential negative things about my own picks. Watch me have a really good night.
Yeah, you're going to have a great night, 8 for 8.
Well, I don't know about that, but so just remember that I came into the show today and not in love with some of my picks, but I'm sticking by them. You got to stick by your picks. Your first instinct's usually always the best.
It's like when I tell people they buy a ticket at the Mutual Machine and they I punched the wrong ticket. I got the wrong runner. I say don't never cancel it. Bet it. That's how you win some big bucks sometimes.
Yeah. That's you can't do, you know, unless you make a $5,000 mistake and you meant to bet 50.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah, you gotta keep the accidental ticket. All right. Well, this should be an interesting night. I think the races are interesting tonight. There's some that are, I think, particularly wide open. Good luck to your picks, and try to stay cool.
Yeah, you too.
It'll take us a while to cool out after this show, but the paddock set is beautiful. All right, that's it for us for now. First post coming up at 6:35. We're fast and firm. Good luck tonight.
Home here at Lone Star Park at Grand Prix. Sellers' third victory in tonight's NTRA All-Star.
Coming down to the finish, Singletary to catch, Antonius Pius veers.
Signaled by Jerry Bailey and Kieran fell on the outside. Jerry Bailey goes to the lead, gets the head in front and remains perfect this year.
The horses are ready.